Hi, welcome everyone. Welcome to another trolling segment in my YouTube series. Here we are interacting with original content poets on Reddit. And welcome aboard. Let's have some fun. Let's dive in. Let's get into the DMs, have a couple of cool messages to go through, then we'll see what's going on new. My buddy Lotai, what's up, Lotai? Sent me a follow up. He liked some of my input, or thought maybe there's something he could do with this poem to tune up the ending from last episode. So he just wanted to tie up the ending a little bit. But friction from their wings creates a heat that even Hornet's armor can't defeat is now the new ending. And if you remember last time, I felt the ending was a little bit pat. So basically, Lotai here is trying to shape us towards a continuation of the observation and the drama in the poem. So, I appreciate that effort. I appreciate tenacity and continue to continue to try to, revise. We end up, we have the 4-4. 4-2, so we end up with the 14 lines. It's kind of sonnet-like in that sense, Shakespearean sonnet structure. So we could ask, because it has this structure, do we get a high quality volta effect? Do we get a good quality turn after those first 8 lines heading into the final 6? So and that might be another area for Lotai to think about now that he's ended up, accident or not, in this sonnet structure. I think maybe that could be an opportunity to continue to think and continue to wonder. Does this poem give itself enough time to really get the kind of reflection and kind of rumination effect that the sonnet should have when it pivots from octave, those first 8, into the sestet, the last 6th. And here we go from the beheading bees whose stings it could ignore, allowing it to devastate their home with little effort. So between the home would devastate their home with, and then that the change, the pivot to the sestet. There's not that much of a big pivot here, with little effort turning larval young into a source of food. So I don't know. I mean, the poem's kind of this battle, this insect battle. But of course, being a poem, it's probably about something else. It's about these honeybees that are sympathetic to the speaker of the poem, who watches the giant hornet go overhead. So the honeybees, they're this kind of symbol of knowledge, classical symbol of knowledge, of productivity, of kind of the way we've received knowledge from antiquities is oftentimes how the honeybee is used in literature. In this poem, it's sympathetic. The Asian hornet, this external invader, is not as sympathetic. So it sets up this kind of broader battle. And I think that the effort of that sestet has to be to reflect on kind of a little bit, tie in to human situations, what this is all about. But great work, Lotai. Keep at it. Let's go on to Handle with Care from Lenny on the Block. This is a poem I think is very, very, very excellent in many, many ways. I left a fairly extended comment about it when I first saw it. So I'm just going to give it a read for folks here. So I think it deserves that. Then maybe we'll look at some of the things I talked about. She was the first item we bought. Handle with care. She was the first item we bought together to decorate our empty home. New and green, just like the buds of our untested vows. We pursued the foreign furniture boutique in search of a bed, a necessity for any newlyweds. We knew within 5 minutes of crossing the threshold our young love could not afford their mahogany masterpieces. So we left, smiling with this ornamental piglet. A splurge that cost more than the change it could hold, a psychedelic ceramic with lime-colored skin, better suited for the 70s. We took her to our townhouse on Kaiserstrasse. I don't know. Placed her on our only piece of furniture. We kept her company playing cards beside her on the coffee table, slept on blow-up mattress under her gaze. She watched us fill our home through her flower petal eyes, smelled my trial and error cooking with her rainbow snout, peeking at me, crying over trivial things like ruined food, the frustration of learning to live alongside you. She bid us farewell every trip, delighted in the keepsakes we'd gathered to cherish, prop up beside her. Saw us argue and spar, study our words and our fights, sighed when we'd figure out how to make it all right. Closed her eyes when we claimed this house as our own. Draped in discarded clothing as we slowly christened each room. I worried when we left she would break in the move. I wrapped her in paper and bubbles and tissues, a sacred memento, a symbol of us. I held her lovingly, and then, timid and cautious, I packed her up, excuse me. So, I think we see Lenny continue the strategy of putting emotion, the burden of embodying a particular emotion or feeling out of the speaker's hands and into this kind of projecting it onto this pig. So Lenny uses a strategy in some other poems. We see the weather in a previous poem, I don't remember every piece at this point, but Lenny is clearly playing with. Oh, that's right, with the single mother poem with the birds outside. So we see Lenny using this strategy a lot, and I think it's pretty effective in this. We see this more confessional mode, sort of a diary type style a little bit in this. It might be a little bit long. There might be an opportunity to shape it up a little bit more. But in general, I think this conceit of putting the reluctance of the speaker to describe his feelings towards the beloved. We don't really see the speaker saying how much I cared for you, how much my feelings grew for you, how close we became over this time. Instead, the pig is left to witness that. The pig becomes a stand-in for our eye, for our invitation to gaze into their relationship and observe a little bit. A little voyeur we see through the pig's eyes and are able to voyeur and enjoy. And I think it's just generally speaking, it's an effective strategy. It's an effective approach that Lenny prosecutes in this. I enjoyed it. I left a longer comment. You guys can circle back and have a look at that if you want. There's some other techniques I think Lenny is using to attenuate the success of this device. There's a little bit of suspense as to how the relationship will turn out, which is never fully revealed, but it seems fairly pacific. It seems like their fights and their bickering are mild. And again, I do think there's probably some opportunities for attenuation. I nitpick at a little thing here and there, but whatever. Okay, let's great work, Lenny. Hey, you're doing the good fight out here on OC. So definitely keep it up. Look forward to seeing more of your stuff. And DM me. I just caught this poem. I just saw it posted and caught it. I'm like, oh yeah, I know Lenny. I am not always going to catch everything, so definitely keep me in the loop, guys. If there's something you're working on, something you want me to check out, hit me up. Flowers, morning coffee. I don't know if this was a DM or whether it's something I stumbled upon. I don't rightly remember. So I apologize if this was a DM and then, I'm not crediting you correctly for reaching out. But I did put it on my saved list, so it's on the agenda anyway. Epigram. Do toothbrushes hate the smell of garlic? And do air conditioners think the cold is drastic? Do plugs ever want to be somewhere other than sockets? And do handkerchiefs hate being put in pockets? So pockets, sockets, drastic, garlic. Okay. This interesting rhymes. Are there any bells which hate being rung? And does any ice cream hate every tongue? Do poems ever waking up think, you've given me too much to hold, how do I get up and face the world? So there's all this kind of apostropheing going on in this poem. That's where we make an inanimate object kind of speak. So it's a little bit of an extension or extreme version of what Lenny has done. This kind of apostrophe personifies these inanimate objects. It's kind of like ode to a coffee cup type of thing. Is kind of going on. So it sounds a little bit flippant, or especially with the rhymes, a little bit comic. Obviously, air conditioners don't really think. So the poet is putting those ideas onto these objects. But these objects have to work so hard to fulfill our expectations of them. And it culminates in this kind of ars poetica. Do poems ever waking up? Maybe that's their first draft. Maybe that's when the book is opened. You've given me so much to hold. How do I get up to face the world? So that's obviously not the poem that's saying that. That's the poet. I think this is interesting. Again, I think it's an interesting conceit. I would perhaps find ways to concentrate this ending. How do I get up? It's hard to imagine a poem getting up. A poem can't literally do that. Poems can hold things. So facing the world, poems can do that. They have a face. They have both a typeface and the fact that the page has to face somewhere. So I don't know. How do I line up? Maybe how do I stack up? Something like that. How do I speak up? Without a voice. I mean, poems don't actually have a voice. We have to give them the voice ourselves when we read them. Those might be some might be some angles there to make this poem work on those different levels more effectively. But yeah, interesting approach. I think some of these rhymes are rung and tongue is well done. Garlic and drastic is well done. So yeah, if you guys are going to use these kind of couplets, I've oftentimes punished people whose couplets are bad. And I think these couplets in general, hold, world is a little bit of a stretch, and then think is kind of hanging in there on its own. But in general, the reader's going to trust this poem because it earns some trust with those earlier rhymes that are subtle and well done. And so when it abandons that strict couplet strategy, I think it's okay. Maybe vary some of these end lines. So we have the comma on the first, the question mark on the second, comma on the third, question mark. Almost every single line here is end stopped. Some enjambment here, maybe later in the piece, a little jammed line could add a little bit more momentum, a little more urgency, a little more surprise and variation. But just a possibility. So let's break up the litany structure a little bit. All right, Moose Balls, what's going on? Great to see from you. It's great to hear from you again. Always like checking out what the moose is up to. The moose is loose. With hindsight, these pines stand tall with stony faces, stoic in their neatly ordered rows, like captured soldiers waiting to be cut down in the snow. So there's some foreboding with the cut down. Okay, good. I remember crouching in between them as I tried to creep behind you, rubbing nylon sleeves along my thighs to charge my fingertips and shock your skin. So Moosey gets right to situating us. He drops us into this scene very effectively. Okay, there's no ambiguity as to where we are and what's happening. The snow is getting heavier. So I think the is getting there might be slowing the reader down. That's a little too much heaviness. It's a kind of a passivating way to use English a little bit. It's quiet like I've never heard before. That's also a little bit boring. One branch, weaker than the others, reaches out, palm up, fingers splayed as if in wonder at the sight of what it holds, until it snaps. Silence snatches the sound from the air, swallowing it whole before it gets a chance to flap or curl its feathers into fists. The feathers, I'm not sure what the feathers are. So this poem has lost me a little bit. Is it in the present tense of the speaker walking along these pines where he, these pines? Is it the present tense, or is this recollection? Is this remembrance? I think it's present tense. So I'm not sure what's going on. Why this particular 3, 4, 8 lines? Oh, that's a lot. That's 8 big lines here. Right, the heart and soul of the poem, right in the center. Why we need to continue with the present tense when we brought up the recollection. And that these imagery confuses me a little bit. So the fingers splayed out as if in wonder at the sight, the snapping, the no chance to flap. Is this about the surprise? Is this supposed to show parallelism to the surprise of when you were a child surprising a play buddy or a parent or whoever you were surprising with a shock? Is it supposed to parallel that? Is it supposed to tell me about how you feel about that shock now or what happened? I can't tell. And then on the way back home, but you were already on the way somewhere. I'm not sure what we need on the way back home because we opened with the pines. On the way back home, I pass a pond with pockets of air beneath the ice. Okay. Is that a different setting than the pines stand with stony faces, stoic and neatly ordered? Maybe we could just collapse that, and the pond is just beyond those pines. I'm not sure why this poem needs 2 different settings. I can see her hand reaching out to rake across the moon's face. What hand reaching out from where? Is this like, reaching out from the lake? On a warmer night than this, it became 1,000 silver fish swimming round in circles before disappearing out of sight. So it's tantalizing. It's interesting. Was there a traumatic experience? Did shocking this person then, kill them? Did they drown in the pond? Or were you just kind of flirting? Was this like a love affair type of thing where you're surprising someone to give them a little shock, just to have fun? It's unclear. So I think that the poem isn't fully crystallized yet. There's some interesting, evocative, kind of ghost-like, haunting-like imagery in here. So it's a great opportunity for Nigel to shape this up and really prosecute something memorable. All the tools are here. I would really focus on those 8 lines right in the middle. To me, that's where the reader is likely to be lost, and it's going to be difficult getting them back. Once you lose them, it might be difficult to get them back. Okay. Cool. Let's see if we have time for a little bit of new. Maybe we could see what's going on in new. And yeah, I don't think we should read Torture Chamber though. I just think that's not a good idea. Lonely Lips and Memories, maybe. I'll take a quick peek here at Lonely Lips and Memories. See, it looks like it has all these long lines. Like, you see how long this line is, folks? And you see how they're going to end this poem with, I remember the day I died. See about motherhood. Okay, we'll just read a little bit of motherhood, and we'll just discuss this quickly. So I think this is a good way to end the show for today. Motherhood. See, we have this title, motherhood, and then the first line, motherhood, period. So that's redundant. We're already right there. The whole game in poetry is not to mince words, not to waste words. So that's already duplicated effort. The shoulds bury me. Now that's a missed opportunity to be specific, I would think. Which shoulds? And I think we know what that is, but but if they could show us, if this poem could show us, it might be more effective. Changing diapers, or cleaning bottles, or what is it? Shoulds bury me, carry me down this road. Which road? So this is one of these received bits of language, which I try to caution people against using. It's a metaphor that is frozen, that is buried in language. Road is a metaphorical road, not as a literal road. Why not make it specific? The loads I cannot bear. Okay, again, that's more fixed received language. Because I care too much. Well, show me how you care too much. The poem needs to show us. Such a lump on my phone. Now we're getting somewhere. I don't know what a lump on my phone is. It could be an image of your child that you carry with you in your phone, like people used to carry a picture of their child in their wallet. That could be the alone time I would like. Okay. If the guilt didn't counteract my psych meds. What a head case I am. Well, now we're in kind of Sylvia Plath territory, which is, can be done. Damn, if only I wasn't so tired and would play. A day of quality time may be what I need. So I and we as readers can be very, very, very sympathetic to this difficult situation that the poem is describing, as we should be. We should be very sympathetic, and we should be very forgiving. We should also understand it might not be that easy to write a poem when you're under these types of stresses, and that what the poet might be asking here is human sympathy, which I think that they deserve. But I do think as a piece of literary evidence, as a piece of literary testimony, we would have to say that this is asking, as I often say, asking the reader to do the work, and it's not enacting or doing a lot of the work for itself. So it's placing that work on us, and saying, hey, I want you guys to understand why I feel this way. I want you to have sympathy for me. Instead of showing us and documenting the way in which all this stuff is broken. Why should all this stuff be put on the mother? Where is the husband? Where are the neighbors? If we want to continue as a society, we need people to come out of moms and have the opportunity to grow up. And moms can't do all this stuff on their own. So let's think about that. Let's think about what we could do to support this poet and give them more opportunities to hone their craft. So Aoni, I know. Reach out to me. Let me know. If there's something I can do to help you with your poetry, book recommendations you want. Workshops I could recommend, whatever it is. Use the community, lean on us. If poetry is your passion, that's the thing you want to do, working on it a little bit every day, reading a little bit. Don't put too much expectations on yourself, especially when you're a new mother, that you're going to be able to take on the world and do everything all at once. But Maybe you could write a few lines that you feel like are keepers every day, and sneak in an occasional poem out of an anthology that gives you some fuel. Maybe you can make some progress that way. Hope things get better. Okay, OC community, hit me up, guys. Hit me with some more DMs. I'm thinking of ways we can take this further. I have a little book I've written about the craft of poetry that I'm thinking about ways I could share with you all. So if you're interested in being a beta reader and you want to check out what's going on with that, let me know. Best thing you can do is subscribe up and hit me with a message. Thanks for joining me. Have a good one, folks.